There has been an absolute explosion of transfer news from reliable sources in the last 24 hours. David Ornstein has confirmed that Manchester United are interested in a January loan deal for Muani. Manchester United are trying to do something clever in the transfer market in midfield. Al-Nassr are back in for Casemiro. Talks of a swap deal involving Vlahovic and Zirkzee as we get more reports about his possible exit. Ahmad's contract situation, an update on Nuno Mendes and Dorgu updates. All this in today's rundown of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. It's going to be absolutely packed. There's so much transfer activity going on at the moment with United. We've got loads of exit news, loads of incoming news. Let's start with some real positivity though. So Manchester United are prepared to seal Ahmad's new contract. It's all set with final details being sorted. It's a new long-term deal and an improved salary that came from Fabrizio Romano. Simon Stone also confirming that Manchester United are expected to confirm Amad Diallo's new long-term contract later this week. That's fantastic news. Well earned. It's important we get him kind of tied down because he has been, one of our outstanding players this season, deserving of the new contract. So smash a like on the video if you agree with Amad getting a new contract signed and sealed and all done and dusted hopefully this week. So I'll bring you any updates if they come out, but let me know how you feel about that in the comments, and smash a like on the video if you agree with him getting a new contract. Now, United are in a position, I think from now on, we're just going to have to assume we're in a position to sell to buy. PSR rules make it that way. So we always need to sell players in order to bring players in. Even like Newcastle have to do that, and they're one of the richest clubs in the world. So we're going to, and no more so than us, because we're absolutely skint because of mismanagement from the Glazers in the past. So loads of exit talk that I'm going to run through first regarding January, and then we'll go through all the transfer incoming. So the Saudi Pro League is hopeful of signing Casemiro this month. The most likely destination is Al-Nassr, with Cristiano Ronaldo keen on the deal. Casemiro is also open to joining this to the Saudi move. That came from Jason Burton, The Telegraph, a credible source. Saudi dealmakers believe Casemiro is available for around 30 million euros. It was made clear last summer that when Al Ittihad tried, that nothing close to 70 million euro paid would be offered. Back then, Casemiro was against an exit. He is now more open to the idea of Saudi. Al-Nassr are in a squad and financial position to move, and Casemiro will become one of the top 5 paid footballers in Saudi if he agrees to join. There's talks of like 650,000 pound a week, which is nice for some. Big drive to try and get him, actually dating back 3 windows, but especially now with the TV rights cycle renewal later this year that came from Ben Jacobs, who is a hitty-missy journalist, but is quite decent when it comes to Saudi Pro League moves. So more kind of credibility around Casemiro potentially going to the Saudi League. Sam C was a good source, says Al-Nassr are back in for Casemiro this January transfer window. Saudi clubs are waiting to sell Talisca, with clubs in Turkey interested. If this gets done, they will target Casemiro. Casemiro is more open than ever to a move overseas to Saudi. The Saudi Pro League have been alerted to the availability of Casemiro, who has let it be known that he would be open to leaving. That came from The Times, another good source. Because the rumours were in the summer he didn't want to go himself, which is why that move never materialised. But now he seems to be more open. We're obviously open to selling him. This is one that that's probably got a little bit of legs on, because there are some really credible sources there kind of getting involved in the deal. Manchester United are keen to sign a replacement for Casemiro, and moving him on would help fund that. That's key, because if we let Casemiro go, we do need a replacement. Manuel Ugarte has been outstanding, but he cannot play every single week. So we do need to bring someone in the midfield, especially if we let Casemiro go, because he's our only other kind of defensive midfielder. And it wouldn't leave us massively light. And Ugarte cannot play every single minute of every game for the rest of the season. In terms of bringing a replacement, Melissa already had the following to say: Manchester United believe there is a need to inject a directness into the squad through a more dynamic profile. Somebody with technical quality, speed and strength in the duels, specifically in the midfield area. United are trying to do something clever and helpful in the transfer market with limited funds. So that came from Melissa Reddy. Let me know. Give me some suggestions in the comments on who you think would kind of tick that box, or who we could potentially bring in this window as a potential Casemiro replacement. Ederson springs out to mind, but the reports were that he's not going to be leaving Atalanta in January and would be expensive, and I don't think we have that sort of money, so we're going to need to be looking at somebody relatively cheap. Rios will be a name I know some of you like from past videos when we've been speaking about midfielders. Again, I think he's going to be expensive. Stiller from Stuttgart would be another name for me personally. I like. I've got a soft spot for Tajani Rangers from AC Milan, but that one's unlikely as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see who potentially can come in the midfield. But give us some suggestions in the comments. Let me know who you would kind of be looking to bring in January. Now, let's go through the other exit news. So a number of clubs, including from Spain and Greece, have made contact with United over a loan for winger Antony. It's understood United will consider offers for the players. That's interesting because Romano did an interview with his agent where he said if United would want to let him leave or suggest that him to leave, that they do have options. So that's one to keep an eye on. Olympiacos contacted Manchester United for Antony on a loan transfer. The Greek league, not Antony's priority. Florian Plettenberg, literally just at the time of recording this video, has kind of said that don't rule that one out as well. So that's potentially another option. I just think the more options we get for Antony, the better, because it gives him more choice where he can make an informed decision of where he wants to play next. That one looks likely it's going to be a loan. I don't know about obligations or options to buy or anything. We're obviously going to have to pay a big chunk of his salary. Maybe if we could get an obligation to buy, that would be decent for the summer, but it depends on the clubs. It depends on the clubs and the wages and stuff. But definite interest in Antony going. Now, another player that could be leaving, Rashford. So PSG have no interest in Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford and never have done. That came from Jack Talbot. Sources at Napoli have played down their reported interest in Marcus Rashford. That came from Simon Stone, who's a good source. So that kind of squashes all the swap deal involving Osimhen. If Napoli are not interested in Rashford, then obviously that's not going to happen. I've got an Osimhen update to go run through in a second for you as well. Marcus Rashford is being targeted by Milan regarding a potential loan, with any deal depending on Manchester United paying a sizable portion of his salary of around £365,000 a week. That came from Jamie Jackson, who's a good source. AC Milan are among several clubs set to hold talks to discuss conditions of a Marcus Rashford loan deal for January. More clubs around Europe are expected to approach Manchester United to understand how they can make it happen. Early stages so far, but movements around Rashford are set to start. That came from Fabrizio Romano, suggesting AC Milan, several clubs around Europe potentially starting to make a move for Rashford. Manchester United will consider loan with obligation to buy offers for Marcus Rashford, and a number of clubs have expressed an interest. That came from Simon Jones in the Mail, and Laurie Whitwell has said that sources believe Italy is the likeliest destination for Marcus Rashford this month, and Laurie Whitwell's probably one of the most credible Man United journalists out there as well. Obviously, Romano's credible, so they're all credible sources suggesting that potentially Italy likely destination for Rashford. We don't know at this stage, obviously, whether it's going to be just a loan with an option to buy or an obligation to buy. Obviously, we'll bring you any details when we get a little bit more, concrete news around where he's going to go and that kind of deal accelerates. But Romano, Laurie Whitwell, Simon Stone, Jamie Jackson, all kind of pointing towards Italy as a potential destination for Rashford. It will be a loan. I don't think Italian clubs have got the money to buy Rashford in January. We're probably going to have to pay a lot of his wages as well, but that just kind of shows what his stock is around the squad if we just want to do a loan, and we're happy to pay him to play for other clubs. But again, that might be an option to help us in the summer, because the more interest you do get in the summer transfer window where clubs have got more money, the better it would be. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, another player that we've had mixed news yesterday regarding Joshua Zirkzee. So Joshua Zirkzee's relationship with Ruben Amorim is an all-time low, and therefore Man United are open to letting him leave. Juventus are aiming to take him on loan, but United don't want this. Manchester United want to sell him permanently, while Juventus could take him on loan by inserting a conditional purchase obligation. That came from Corriere dello Sport. Decent, but Sky Sports are saying that Juventus are continuing to work with Manchester United on a deal for Joshua Zirkzee, but United do not intend to let him leave on loan. Sky Sports Cabe, who's a good source, said that Joshua Zirkzee has no interest in leaving Manchester United. He loves the club and is determined to prove himself in the Premier League. Fabrizio Romano has said that contacts between Juventus and Joshua Zirkzee entourage began weeks ago. The two have a very good relationship. Thiago Motta wants it. Juventus is really pushing for Joshua Zirkzee. Man United does not want a straight loan. However, David Ornstein, the most credible source, in my opinion, around at the moment. It's confirmed Joshua Zirkzee intends to stay at Manchester United this January. So I think with Zirkzee, there's been interest from other clubs. Clearly Juventus, because Romano confirming it. So there's clearly interest there. If you remember back to the video I did the other day where Ruben Amorim has said, well, he wants to keep him, but it's the transfer window. We'll kind of wait and see. And I think it was always down to Joshua himself. If he wants to go, then I think they would facilitate an exit for him as long as it suits the club. But if he wants to stay, they're happy to kind of keep him because, you know, if we're letting Rashford and Antony go, Mason Mount's injured, it leaves us, and then you let Zirkzee go, that leaves us massively light in an area that's really problematic for us anyway. And I don't think we can get all of those replacements done in January because with loan exits, we're not getting the money in that we would need. If they were all permanent sales and we were getting cash in, then maybe it would be possible because you'd get some money in where you could buy a replacement. But if you're loaning 3 players out in January, where you're getting the money to replace them, you're just not. So it doesn't help us at all. So actually Joshua staying, I think, is a good thing. And I actually like that from himself as well, because I think it is his decision. And I like that kind of attitude to say, no, I'm determined to kind of turn things around. And let's see how that kind of develops. But let me know. So that's all the exit talks. We're going to go through the incoming in a second. But Casemiro to Saudi, one to keep an eye on. Interest in Rashford from Italian clubs now. AC Milan's name kind of being mentioned. Sort of a loan. I don't know whether it'll be a loan with an option or an obligation to buy at this stage. We'll need to wait for more details regarding that. Antony, that situation's kind of heating up a little bit, and then Zirkzee staying. So that's all the kind of exits. So it's looking likely Casemiro, Antony, and Rashford. I said that in yesterday's video. They would be the 3 players to keep an eye on for an exit because they're the ones that have the most credibility around it. And that's how it kind of feels at this moment in time. But let me know what you think about the exits. Now, exits will help us bring in players, but whether we'll have a massive amount of money to spend, I doubt, because 2 of those exits are potentially going to be loans. But Manchester United have offered Dusan Vlahovic to Manchester United as part of a deal for Joshua Zirkzee. That came from Alex Crook, TalkSport yesterday. He's a hitty-missy journalist. I would have taken that story with a pinch of salt. Obviously, Ornstein saying that Zirkzee's staying dispels that kind of story anyway. And a host of Premier League clubs have been offered Dusan Vlahovic. That came from Sam C. But yeah, I would say take that with a pinch of salt because, like I said, Ornstein's just confirmed that Zirkzee's saying, so there's definitely not going to be a swap involving Vlahovic. Now, the other striker we've been heavily linked with recently is Osimhen. So Florian Plettenberg had the following to say: understand that Galatasaray are currently 100% convinced that Victor Osimhen will not leave the club this winter. At the moment, there are no negotiations taking place with other teams. Fabrizio Romano, it said in terms of Osimhen, in terms of chance to move, it's possible, but at the moment, nothing is advanced or close with any club, despite links around. It's still early on this one. So Romano saying that those kind of talks of a swap deal or United kind of, making a move for Osimhen, not true, nothing kind of close. Manchester United have made an approach to Napoli for Victor Osimhen. However, he is refusing to leave Galatasaray in January. Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis is furious. He sees it as another example of Osimhen trying to make his situation difficult for Napoli. That came from an Italian outlet who are actually fairly decent, but I would rely more on Romano than that particular outlet regarding Osimhen. I think Osimhen might be, like reading between the lines, there might have been interest in Osimhen, or there might still be interest in Osimhen, but it depends on the exits. If we sell Rashford permanently and get like 40 million or whatever for him, get his wages entirely off the book, then that might be possible for us to go for Osimhen. But if Rashford's going on loan, I don't think we're definitely not going to have the money to go for Osimhen in January. So, but yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, the other striker, though, that is more likely because of funding and PSR and everything would be a loan option. So Manchester United, Tottenham and Juventus are exploring a January deal to sign Randal Kolo Muani on loan. That came as a bomber from David Ornstein, suggesting that United are exploring a deal in January from Muani. In the article itself, it said Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester United are actively exploring a January deal to sign Muani on loan from Paris Saint-Germain. The Premier League clubs, alongside Serie A counterparts Juventus, have expressed an interest in recruiting the 26-year-old forward. As things stand, they are emerging as the leading contenders for one of the most high-profile players likely to move during the winter transfer window. So Ornstein suggesting that Juventus are maybe a little bit advanced. That would maybe make sense now if they're not going for Zirkzee. They obviously want to get a forward in, so maybe that puts them in a stronger position. But one to keep an eye on, Muani to United on loan. There's been rumours of that before in the past. It quietened down because we had all the noise around Osimhen and all this kind of stuff in recent weeks. But I'm pretty sure we were heavily linked with Muani before we signed Højlund as well that summer. So clear interest there. Let me know what you think in the comments. And then Christopher Michael, who was spot on actually. He's been really reliable recently regarding the Sekou Kone deal and the Diego Leon one. So this is one to pay attention to. Saying that Manchester United can probably only make loan deals in winter, even though Muani has said he is not considering a move. United are taking a closer look at him. The ex-Eintracht Frankfurt striker has little chance of playing for PSG. So another kind of credible source linking us with Muani. And Romano said that Randal Kolo Muani is expected to leave PSG this month. Manchester United are looking at multiple options alongside Kolo Muani, though. That came from David Ornstein in a later interview that he did with NBC Sports. So all signs are interest in Muani. I think the interest in Osimhen is dropped, and that's very unlikely unless we do a madness and sell, like I said, we sell Rashford permanently, or if we sell, I don't know, Garnacho or something like that and get some money in. It might be possible that we make a move for Osimhen, but we don't have that sort of money, and the rumours are loan deals for a lot of like Antony, Rashford loan deals doesn't really help us get a lot of money in. I think selling Casemiro would free up a lot of money, not just for the fee that we're going to get, because it's only 30 million euros, but it'd be him off the wages, which will be a massive impact. But let me know what you think in the comments. Muani, are you for it? Are you against it? Let us know. Let us know down below. Now, to keep with incoming, so obviously with the other position we know we need to strengthen is a left back. So Manchester United are aiming to sign a left wing back in the coming days. Instead of allowing their search to drag on, the club intend for this to be a defining week in getting someone on board. That came from Dean Jones. He was the same journalist actually a week or so ago that claimed that Ruben Amorim has told the club to get him a left back in the first 2 weeks of the January transfer window. So that's an interesting one to kind of keep an eye on. In terms of players, Nuno Mendes is one that's heavily linked. Manchester United are pushing for a deal to bring in Nuno Mendes. Ruben Amorim wants to make Mendes his first signing at United. The deal will be difficult to finalise this month, with PSG hoping he will stay. That came from The Telegraph, who are a good source. And then Florian Plettenberg said there is contact between United and Nuno Mendes' management. United remains strongly interested in a transfer for the 22-year-old left-back this summer. However, 3 top clubs are also pursuing the Portuguese international, and PSG will try to renew his deal. So that one's not as cut and dry at the moment. Interest, we know we've made a contract offer, which is higher than PSG's, but whether PSG will counter-offer that or whether he'll accept it, don't know at this stage, but that's a player to kind of keep an eye on potentially for the left wing back position. And another player to keep an eye on is Dorgu. So Manchester United have added Lecce left wing back Patrick Dorgu to their list. Milos Kerkez and Nuno Mendes are higher on the list, but more expensive. So that could be one to keep an eye on. We've covered him before. He's definitely a player of interest that we've been looking at. For the kind of left wing back position. He has been playing right wing this season as well. He is a kind of bit of a multiple, like can play in a few different positions. So if you want to, maybe someone that can play at left wing back, but then also potentially can cover for Antony going or be a body up front as well, then Dorgu would be a fantastic shout to kind of bring in. Romano saying there he would be cheaper than Kerkez and Mendes as well. So if we are on a bit of a financial tightrope, which we know we are, that would be one to kind of keep an eye on. And that's one that could be, there could be something in that. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you. But that's you. Let me know what you think in the comments. A lot to kind of go through there. There's been so much noise. There's probably stories as I'm recording this video. It's literally gone absolutely haywire with the Man United transfer news. So to kind of summarize, Casemiro likely to Saudi Pro League this month. Interest from Italy with Marcus Rashford potentially on loan. Don't know at this stage if it will be an obligation or an option to buy included in that deal. Antony potentially out on loan as well. Zirkzee staying now. Interest in a midfielder as well. Don't forget to get involved in the comments. Let me know if we let Casemiro go, who you're thinking that we could potentially bring in as a replacement. And then left wing back, Mendes or Dorgu, the 2 names that are being linked today as well. And then in terms of forward or a striker, it's looking more likely potentially Muani on loan. If we get the funds, it might be Osman and stuff, but I think that's very unlikely for this window going off of these recent reports. But let me know what you think about all of that in the comments. Let me know what you think about, let me know how you feel about that in the comments. That is you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.